What up, guys? Hey, sorry guys, having a little issues. My mic just fell over right quick, so let me try to get this resolved. And my actual glass just broke. My mic fell, my glass broke, so let me get me another glass right quick. Alright, guys, so hopefully my mic. Damn it, man. I need to. I think it'll be okay for now, but. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Let me move my water over to the side. So if it falls, doesn't spill. I'm gonna have to put my drinks over here on this side as well. Same thing, if it falls, it doesn't fall on my drink. Running a little bit behind, and of course had these issues. Mic falling, broke my glass. Had to go get another glass. Let's see. Let's see. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and save. Make sure my mic's on. Yep, seems good. So I have had issues. I think it was the last stream had an issue where my mic wasn't working. So either way, seems to be good now. But all right, guys, what up? What up? Hopefully y'all doing good on this Friday. Oh yeah, it's tequila night. You know what? I need to do one more thing before I start. So let's see. All right, cool. All right, guys, now we get started. What up? What up? Hopefully y'all doing good, man, on this Friday night. Again, I'm running late. Then, of course, had an incident with my mic. Kind of hard to tell. Let me try to show it real quick. So you take a look at my stand. Damn, can I move it? Nope, I can't move it. Never mind. So either way, my mic fell. And I had my glass. I had to get another glass. So I got my Mavericks glass. But the other glass that I had, when my mic fell, it landed on it. It actually just broke. It pretty much broke in half. Like the bottom piece broke off. Had to pick it up, go get another glass. And yeah, just one of those days, man. Running late. Mic falls, break glass, all that. But hey, now that I'm on. Again, guys, on Friday, we talk tech. There's a few things we're going to talk about today. So one of the things we're going to be going over is AWS Glue Joins. So I did get a request from a viewer. I'm kind of walking through that process. So we're going to ultimately what we're going to end up doing is in AWS, one of the services they have called AWS Glue. So it's an ETL service. Now there's some transformations that could be done on that. And for example, if you have files in different buckets, so you may have, let's say, for example, you have a customer master file, which has names and may have address information. And then you could have a geographic file that has zip code, city, state, and so on. So for instance, one of the things that could be done before you end up loading any data into a data warehouse, you could join both files together, and ultimately the result of that data set will get loaded to a Redshift environment, for example. So we're gonna walk through that process. But before we do that, again, it's tequila night. So let me go ahead and bust open my bottle. I'm gonna be drinking a bottle that I have bought before. It's been a while, and I recall being a good tequila, not just good, but it being pretty. Man, I'm kind of afraid that it's just gonna fall again, but hopefully not. But either way, I'm gonna have to monitor it. Man, I need to figure something. It's because my desk, man. This desk does not, the edge, it only sticks out this much. So of course it's trying to clamp on to only about an inch, compared to a normal desk where you could clamp on the full amount. Either way, I need to figure something out. So I'm gonna be drinking the no label It has a label, man. It just where I buy it at, it does not have a label. But it does have a label. Um, and the label's pretty cool. It's actually kind of like a little, what is it, like metal plaque. So it's not an actual label, it's like a metal plaque or something. And that's why I'm wondering why maybe it doesn't have it. Like somebody probably took it. You kind of see where the glue was right here in this area, and so somebody must have just snatched it. I guess I don't know, but either way, Los Arangos. That's the name of this tequila, and I recall this being good. So I decided to buy this one. I went to the store that I normally go to. There's this other store that I went to, and I should have went there. And I'll probably go there to next week, or we'll see. But another time, probably next week, because they have some of the bottles I've been looking for. They're not cheap though. They have one of the ones that I've been looking for. It's like $90. So it's actually going to be my birthday in July 5th. So that's probably going to be my present to myself. I may end up buying that bottle for myself. I'm trying to open this up, man. What's going on here? There it goes. Finally got it open. So those of y'all who are just joining, who may not, that are new, I'm a tequila guy. I like bourbons as well. I do like whiskeys. Haven't had a mixed drink in a while, but I do like some Jack and Coke or Crown and Coke or whatever. Some whiskey and Coke. But either way, it's I'm more of a tequila guy. So this is pretty much my drink of choice, tequila, and I really really like Blanco. Anejo is good. I've been tasting a little bit more, and I do like it more. So I think I'm gonna get into that as well. But hey, what's up, Python developer? Let's see. What do you say? Was stuck in traffic. How are you, man? I'm doing good. So it's fine, man. I actually started late as well. A couple of reasons. I started a few minutes late, but to make it worse, my when I was setting things up, I was my mic. I was bringing it down because normally it hangs up. Kind of hard to tell, but it hangs up high. I was bringing it down, and when I was bringing it down, it got unhooked from the clamp from the table, and it just fell on my. Oh, whew. Let me fix it. Seems kind of loose. I feel like it's gonna fall again. Yeah, I need to do something tomorrow. Try to fix this mic. But either way, my mic fell. My mic arm fell on my glass, and that was my what I want to call my special glass for my tequila. Pretty much broke, got shattered. So I had to clean that up, and I had to fix my mic arm and get all that. Either way, so I was running late as well, so it's fine, man. You're the AWS Superman. Yeah, I am today. Got my Superman shirt on. Be doing some AWS stuff, so for sure. So let's see. You mentioned Salesforce to S3 to Redshift, Salesforce free account. So there's some good news and so news. So I actually created a. Let's walk through it. Let me share my screen and we'll walk through it together. Just kind of show you. So I did create a Salesforce, another Salesforce account. I created one a while back, but it kind of expired. So I was able to create another one under my I am Lou account. So let me go ahead and log in. So, which is, which again, that's a good thing, right? I was able to create a new one. So now I have access to a trial environment. So that's step number one. Now, the problem that I came across, and let's kind of walk through it, because I actually started doing some testing over this. You know what? Let me log into AWS. Okay, we're in AWS. Now let me go to... Oops. Did I have it saved? App flow, there it goes. Forgot to save it though. Either way, it's fine. So one of the things, and we kind of walked through it again from scratch. So let's go to create a flow. Right. I'm gonna just call this Salesforce connection. That's fine. Let's hit next. So now I gotta select my source, right? So this is where we'll do Salesforce. Now I created a connection already. This connection here was a Salesforce test. Pretty much has my my authentication, my OAuth authentication to the Salesforce, which is this guy here, right? So if I go to home, this is my Salesforce account that I created, which is, again, it's a free trial, got 13 days left. So I did create a new one. That's where this comes in. And there's already dummy data set up, so... But I did have a problem, right? And whenever I authenticated, it seems like it's able to connect. Boom. But then I started getting this error message that says the REST API is not enabled for this organization. So I started looking into this on this REST API. And one of the things that came to be was, let's see if I can find it real quick. Sales. Let me go to their products, maybe, where where's their... There's the pricing. There it goes. This is what I was looking for. So see how there's different pricing tiers, right? You have your essentials, professional, enterprise, and unlimited. So one of the things that I kind of came across after doing some research was the essential and professional do not have API access. So it seems like you get a lot of the features that CRM has, but of course a lot of the back-end stuff you don't have. So these have no API, and in enterprise there is API access. Now, I don't know if that's the reason why when I try to connect, I'm getting this message. And that's where I was kind of stuck, because as I try to connect to it, just like the way we did right here, right, I cannot choose an object because it cannot connect. So what I'm going to do in this case is, for a connection, let's create a new connection. I need to try it again. So see how there's production and sandbox? Initially I did sandbox and I had issues. Like it wouldn't connect to a sandbox. But when I did production, it did. Which of course makes me believe that this is the true production environment. or it's considered production. It just happens to be a trial version. That's the only difference. I think I need to check to see. I probably should have checked before about a Salesforce sandbox environment. Salesforce sandbox login and sandbox account. Sign up for, there it goes, free sandbox. What the hell? Okay, they must not have that no more. How to create a sandbox account. So that's what I'm wondering. If that was the reason on why. But either way, before we go and try to figure out the sandbox, let's kind of go back. So if I go back, let me just try again. I'm gonna do production. Let me just call it Salesforce connection. I'm gonna do continue. So this is already connecting to my Salesforce account because I'm logged in. I want to allow, and then now it's connecting, and I still get the same error message, which again makes sense because we tried that earlier and got the same issue. Can we then see? Let's put sample JSON data in S3, then glue, and move the JSON and Redshift as table format. Yeah, we could do that. So we'll skip this for now. But again, I'm not sure what. Only thing I could think of this this trial that I have may not be enterprise. I've been trying to figure out how to identify if it's enterprise or not. And honestly, I couldn't really find a direct way where you could go and say, oh, you're using enterprise version or using this version. So it's kind of odd on why it's not identified as straightforward. But that was the issue that I had here, right? I got an account set up. Couldn't connect to it, but I believe it has to do more so because I'm not using an enterprise version, and API access only exists for enterprise version. So for now, let's go ahead and kind of move away from this. I'll look into the sandbox environment. I believe they're charging for sandbox environment now. It used to be free, I want to say, but I don't think it's free no more. Now they're charging for that instance, so I need to take a look at it, but I'll spend some time on that, and if it's worth setting up, then I'll get a sandbox environment set up. Again, it used to be cool because it was free. I know it was free because I used it before, but I don't think it's free anymore. So you want to see JSON data in a S3. So let's see. I guess my first thing would be, are you getting JSON data from some source, or are you generating your JSON file? So the reason why I ask you that is, like a good example, if you're extracting data from a database, and let's say you're gonna save the export data from database to an S3 bucket, normally by default it gets saved as a JSON file. I believe it is a JSON file. I actually have a sample of that now that I think about it. Let me hit reload. If you're working with more files of, like, a good example would be, like files that come in from SharePoint or files that are coming from a network drive. A lot of the time, most likely those files are probably going to be CSV, is my guess. Files, because those are more human readable files. Like it's people that are non-technical are able to use them, most likely. Like here's one of the ones that I generated earlier, and I believe this is a JSON file, so I could open it up. Open with Sublime Text. You know what? It's not JSON. It's actually, I forgot it's not JSON. It is CSV. I specify CSV. Source was Salesforce. Since that is not working, so we could put a simple JSON into S3. Gotcha. Which makes sense, because if it's coming from Salesforce, then yeah, most likely it will get saved as a so let me do this. Let me I have sample files already. Let me go ahead and download. I have 2 of them. I have this customer list, which right now it's a CSV file. So let me download this file. And let's convert this to JSON. Let's see, CSV to JSON. Let's see if there's a way to do it online. CSV to JSON. Let's see, there it goes. All right, cool. So this seemed to work fine. Now we're gonna download it. What did I call the other file? This is what I called it. So let me just copy this name, but it'll be a CSV file. I mean a JSON file. Damn it, that's not what I copied. Alright, cool. So now we got that converted to a JSON. Now let's do the other file. So I have another file. Well, I guess we could do one, right? For now, we're just trying to see the process for one, which is fine. So, because ideally, if you did connect to it, right, with that app, that's what would happen. You would just extract data, like a table most likely, or some sort of data set, and then it'll get saved as a JSON to an S3 bucket, which is kind of what we did. So now that I have that file, I'm gonna remove this guy because I don't need this guy for now. We're gonna assume we just have nothing but JSON files. Man, this smells good. Yeah, I do recall this tequila is good. It is good, that's for sure. All right, cool. So now let me go ahead and upload that JSON. Where is it at? Right here it goes. All right, cool. So now that we have that, all right, so now that we have our file converted to JSON, which is what we wanted. So the next thing is, man, you know what? I just thought about it. I don't think I have a Redshift cluster set up, or do I? Oh, I do have one set up. When did I set this up? Damn, I don't even remember. Okay. Oh, there we go. That was earlier this month then. Okay, so I did create it earlier this month. All right, so see this endpoint here. So I already have a cluster. Let me make it bigger. It's kind of small. So when we go to Redshift, we'll see a list of clusters that we may have, right? So you have many clusters. You got to click the one that you're working with. In our case, we have one, call it shared dev Redshift. Of course, you can create new ones by creating clusters, but I already got one set up. See this endpoint here? this is going to be our connection to Redshift. Now, what I'm not sure, and that's what I need to take a look at right quick, is if where's my where is it? It should be under properties. What my security group is. So let me go into properties. Oh, there it goes. So this is my security group. Let me check something real quick. So let me just kind of move it out. I want to make sure that my security group, if it has my IP address whitelisted, because I'm going to connect to it from a database, so we kind of see the connection and stuff. So let me just take a look at that real quick. So nope, let me go ahead and modify that. All right, cool. So I think we're good now on this. All right, let me go back. Okay, so ultimately what I want to do, man, I just thought about what in my account, man. Hopefully I saved. Let me check. Yeah, there we go. I do have credentials. Okay, so now that we have a Redshift account, let me open up. Check automatically. There's the newer version. Remind me later when I want to do it now. So let me connect to it. Where's Redshift? Redshift. What do I call this? I am Blue shared dev Redshift. So my host is going to be this endpoint. The port is 5439. So see, whenever you copy the endpoint, this is just kind of more FYI when you're dealing with any kind of other application or whatever. It puts everything in. It puts the URL path, but also puts the port and then the database name. Well, I don't want all of that in here. I already got the port over here. My database, I'm going to put over here dev. So I could remove all of that. Then, of course, my user account, let me grab that information. So it's user, password, and let me do a quick test. Oh, it's taking a while, so that's not good. Should have tested successfully already. Or did it test? Maybe the test. Nope, it did not. So everything's fine. This is going to be more so my security. So let me get my security in order. So I'm just going to just switch real quick. My security group. Let's see. Uh, 54. Oh, the port is different. No wonder. What the hell? Is that what it is? Hold on. No, never mind. 5439. That's right. Port's correct. Um. Oh, you know what? I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Or maybe not. Nope, it's not connecting. Hmm. Damn, that's very odd. Why is it not connecting? That is strange. Let me make sure I'm not missing something here. Um, and the reason why I'm checking it because I have two. Oh, never mind. These are two groups, but this shouldn't be it. Let me change this one as well, just to make sure. Oh, you know what? I bet you this may be it. Man, this is strange. Let me make sure that all the services are running on this Redshift because man, everything is actually fine that I could tell. It is available. It is up and running. All right, I can share my screen again. Um, so let me go to Query Editor to yeah. So let's see if I could see this and access it this way. Yep, there it goes right there, connecting. So let's make sure it connects. There it goes. And there's our dev database. Then here's our public schema. And then, of course, what do we have here? So we have like a couple of tables. These tables, I believe, came with the instance already. So I'm not going to deal with these. I think initially, what did I create? With the data warehouse, staging, and then 0 tables. Okay, so that's where we're going to put it at, to this section. All right, cool. So we could use this. This is fine. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's not connecting. I opened up. I whitelisted my IP address. Should have worked. Obviously, it's not working. So either way, I'll deal with that later. I'm not going to deal with it now. But let's go back to. Let me close this. Nope. Let me close this. Where was I at? Did I have a? in another window. Maybe not. So let me just open up. Okay, we're doing our files. So we have a file in our S3 bucket. So now we're gonna let's create a job. We're gonna use AWS Glue and load it to this. So what I need to see though is, we'll play around with it in a few, but I think we may have an issue with it, but we'll see. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a crawler. And I'm going to, let me add a crawler. I'm going to call this, you got to give it some kind of name that specify what it is. I think in our case, it's called customer. But also give it some kind of suffix if it's like specific to some sort of project. So for example, if it's like I don't know, maybe you have different buckets for different projects, you could call it whatever that project is, right? You know, project A, and then ultimately I'm just call it project customer. That should be fine. Tags, the way I use tags is whenever I have different crawlers for different clients, because I do certain jobs for different clients. So I create tags, and I normally will call this like client code, for example, or something like that. Then I'll assign, ABC, whatever my client code is that we use internally for that client. So if we ever need to search by tags, we could try to find better narrow down the crawlers that we have. I wish there was a better way to classify crawlers, but that's the only way I could think of right now to kind of separate it, because right now they're just all kind of going to one bucket. So either way, let's do next. Crawler source is data store, crawl all folders. I want to crawl all folders. So pretty much if you have subfolders, it'll crawl those folders as well. If you don't want to do that, then don't select that. Select the one just folder only. So we have S3. Then I'm going to select the path down here. So let me click on the path. It's going to be this bucket, customer, and of course we see our file in there. But I don't want to just pick on that file and pick our customer. So even if we have more than one file, and I would always do customer, because whenever, like any process that you have, for example, if you're extracting data from like a database or a system, and let's say new JSON files are going to get generated through the process and get saved to your bucket, most likely they're not saving it in one file. They save it in mini files. They do that because it's actually faster. It's better performance than just having one big file. So that's kind of the reason behind it. All right, so now I'm gonna hit next. No. Choose the existing IAM row, which I think this one should work anyways. We'll test it out. Hit next, run on demand. So we have to have it, we have to choose a database. For now, I'm just gonna have it go to the, you know what, let's create a new database. I'm gonna call this IAM or project, right? What would I call it? Project. So let's say I call it project is the name of this database. And that's it. I hit next and finish. Once I hit finish, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this crawler and we're gonna run it. Pretty much, it's gonna read the file, determine the header, the data type, and all of that for us. And then once it does that, then we'll be able to use that data catalog to do in our mappings. So here's the thing: you don't have to do it, but you could do it without doing that. I like to create the crawler because I like to have that metadata to know the data types of the file. And also kind of, at least does like a data profiling of the file to kind of get some insight, right? At least you know as well to some degree. Now it's not always perfect. For example, we're dealing with zip codes here. I don't know, and I guess we'll find out if it's going to consider a zip code as a integer or a string. Because zip code are not integers. They shouldn't be integers. They should be string in your database. And the reason why is because the leading zero. Like in New York, for example, in that area, is it New York? I believe in that area, somewhere around that area, I believe. But they have zip codes that start with a zero. If it's an integer, you end up losing the zero, and next thing you know, you just have a 4-digit zip code, which is not valid. All right, so it normally takes about 2 minutes to run the crawler. Once that's done, then we'll be able to run. Now, while this is running, let me open up my IM because I think there may be some settings that I may have to set, but I want to take a look at it, I guess, while that's running. So let's see. When it comes to rows, we have this AWS Glue service row job service. Oh, there it goes. They'll have Redshift access. Boom, that's what I wanted. So I want to make sure I gave it full access. Ideally, you may not want to do that. You could be more specific on the access. But for what we're trying to do, it's fine. Normally, that's some of the policies you want to get more specific on narrowing down your rows on what kind of access, and maybe more narrowed down. Like for example, like for an S3 bucket, I would some cases, depends on what it is. If I have like one row that's gonna need access to all my buckets, and it's gonna do all kinds of stuff, which is gonna be creating folders, it's gonna be reading, deleting, all of that stuff, then I may give it, I wouldn't say full access, but I give it access to do those actions, right? To all my buckets. But there may be some case where you don't want that. Like one of the scenarios was when we did the AWS transfer family. We had to create a row for transfer, but that row was more narrowed down, very specific to one bucket, and so it's very. It just depends on what you're doing. Do we need to write code to convert JSON to? Do you need to write code? No, you don't. Not to convert it, you don't. I mean, what we're doing here is we're taking we're taking, so our JSON file, right, that we have, we're gonna take that data, and ultimately it's gonna get loaded to a Redshift environment. Once it gets loaded to a Redshift environment, from there you'll be good to access that data whichever way you want, whether it be by querying through a database management tool, but no, there's no need to convert to do that. So the thing with JSON data, a lot of Panda, for NumPy, for example, just kind of name some of these packages that are very heavily used for like statistic data analysis and all that. They like JSON. JSON is a very friendly format. It's already built to consume that format. It's why a lot of the processes kind of prefer to use JSON. It's kind of like the standard, I guess you could say. The one that a lot of processes use as well is the Parquet files. They're pretty much like binary files. It has your data, but it's able to compress it down and to save space, and it's actually very fast to read. But again, that's a whole nother tutorial there with Parquet file. It's just a format At the end of the day, it does the same thing. It's designed for very large files because it compresses it and it's very fast to read as well. Yep, it would. It is going to be that way in Redshift. Yes, and we'll see that right now. Now that we have our table created, which is this customer table, right? We can take a look at it. There it goes. So here's our structure. We have first name, last name, company name, address, city, state, zip, phone, blah, 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 right? So it has all our information. Has everything as string, which is good because that's what we wanted. So now that we have that in order, let's go back to AWS Glue, which we already at in AWS Glue. And let's do this the new way. So they have what's called AWS Glue Studio. It's kind of newish. And then they have the what's called legacy version. Let's do it the newer way first. I actually kind of prefer the old way, but let's do it the new way. So we're gonna go to AWS Glue Studio. We're gonna go to Jobs. So when we go to Jobs, you'll see like what kind of gives you. We have our source. We could create one ourselves from blank. We could have a script that we want to use. In our case, we're going to use the UI. So we're going to just kind of walk through the process using the UI. So we know our source is a S3 bucket, which is fine. Our target is going to be Redshift, which, there we go, the Redshift. So now that we collected, and again, very straightforward, source, target, right? We're going to hit create. Source, then of course target. So let's start out with our source. So see, we have data catalog table. This is where we did our crawler. So we should see that project table here. If we did not run our crawler, which means we wouldn't have a table, a data catalog, then what we would have to do is select S3 and then go and select the file. But because we ran it through the crawler process, we have a data catalog created for us. So we're able to select the table that we want to utilize. Which is project and then customer. So that's our database project, and our table is called customer. So now that we have that set, which is an array, and then we could see these are all of our columns that we have in there, right? So if I go back, that's not it. What was it? There it goes. So if I go back, we take a look at this JSON, we could tell first name, last name, company, address, city, all the way down to email, right? And that's pretty much what we have here. Same thing, address, city, all the way down to email. All right. Applied mapping. Let's get this set up first. We need to get this set up. So our database, you know what? I never set that up, did I? Nope, I don't think I did. So that's fine. AWS, data target. So I'm going to have to go back. I don't think we ever set that up. So let me go to databases. Let me go to connection, right? So here's our Redshift. Yep, our Redshift data warehouse environment. So we got that in here. We go to database. Let me call this what am I talking about? We already have a project database. I could actually add it to that for this case. But you know what? I don't have that created. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. So now let me go back to crawler. So right now, let me go again. Let me now go back to this. So we know we have a staging table, my bad. So we have a data warehouse table, a DWH data warehouse, and then inside there we have two schemas. We have a public schema and a staging schema that we created. One of the things that I'm going to do here is under table is, because we don't have any table, let me create a table. I gotta make sure it's going under the right database. There it goes. It's under the staging schema. The name of this table I'm gonna call customer, and then I'm gonna kind of come back and look at what we have here. So for instance, let me just move this to the side. I'm going to create my first column is going to be called first name we'll do varchar. Then the size of this, we'll do something big. We'll do like 255. Should be fine. And then let's add another field. Last name, varchar 255. Let's do company name, varchar 255. Address, varchar. So what I'm doing here, normally I wouldn't use their tool, which is their query editor. Normally I would use my tool, which is the tool that I have over here to do all of that. I mean, again, it doesn't matter. Tools are tools. So whatever you feel more comfortable using, use whatever tool you can. I'm just using it for now since I was having issues earlier connecting to it, and I don't really want to waste too much time on that because that's more related to the security group permissions being set up properly. So that's one of those deals where I don't want to spend all of our stream trying to figure that out, which there's really no need to do it now. It's normally not that big of an issue, but I know in this account, so my other account that I have, my AWS account that I use, like my production stuff, which is not this account, it's another one, that of course all set up properly and everything's set up right. This one, it's kind of more just to be able to do these videos and kind of show my screen and walk through everything. And I know everything hasn't been set up just because I haven't, probably should spend more time setting everything up, but I just haven't. But I don't want to spend like all of our time either on kind of walking through that right now. So just trying to, in this case, we'll use this tool to get this created. And then the last one is going to be email. Varchar 255. And then I'm going to hit create table. Boom, now we have our table there. So now that our table has been created, now let me go back to Glue Studio, Glue. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a crawler. Let's hit add a crawler. I'm going to put this under the same project. Project. I'm going to call it staging customer. Hit next. This would be JDBC. That's my connection here. And then see, it's kind of hard to tell. Let me make it a little bit bigger. But see how it tells you the format type? You got to type database, schema, and then table, right? So we got to type all that information out in here. Our database is called data warehouse. Our schema is staging, and then our table name is called customer, right? So again, if I go back, is database, schema, and then table customer. That's the format you got to put this in with a / separating it all. Nope. Yes, I believe this has Redshift access, so this should be fine. Hit next, run on demand. I'm going to add this to my project database. Hit next, and then let's create. So now that I have that created, I'm going to go ahead and run this crawler. So now let's let it run. Let's let it do its thing. And once it finishes, then we'll be able to see it over here show up under the table list once I hit refresh. I've been playing around with the new their new job editor, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, just because I'm more used to doing it more looking at the code, for example, like the script. So just kind of FYI, ultimately what this is doing here is we look at the script. Oh, never mind, it can't generate it. But as you configure everything here through the UI, it generates pretty much Python script. That's really what it does. So at the end of the day, it's really just running a Python script to do the ETL process. But of course, it allows you to do that without having to write the code yourself. Now it is generating code, and the code is what actually does the process, the ETL. But it just again, it's a non programming method to do it. So anybody who's not a programmer, you could still generate, create these jobs, these ETL processes, right? But ultimately, that's exactly what it's doing. It's generating a Python script at the end of the day. So let's see if this is still going. Oh, what happened? It failed. So let's see why. Why did this fail? Let's look at the logs. Error. So what happened here? S3 endpoint validation failed. Reason cannot. What the hell? Cannot find S3 endpoint. Error, invalid, exception, blah blah blah. This is odd. So you cannot find. So yep, this is running the crawler. Crawler finished. Crawler has finished running and is in state ready. Crawler has finished running in state ready, but it errored out. So let's take a look at the crawler again. Let's see. Choose the existing catalog table to specify catalog table at the crawler source. You select the table, specify the data stored to crawl. This option doesn't support JDBC data store. Repeat crawler of S3, existing crawler. Let me go back. What is it? Choose the existing catalog table to specify catalog table at the crawler source. So everything seems valid, which makes sense. No tables were created because they errored out. Look at my connection real quick. So it's part of this security group. I need to look at this security group now. All right, let me take a look at something real quick. So let me look at my security groups. Let's see. Um, uh, so oh, okay. I think I may see the issue here. So let me try to fix it. All right. Let's see if this is. All right, so let me go back to where I was at. Let's see. Um, so I'm trying to think, why is this not connecting? Oh, okay. I think I figured out the issue. So let me see. All right. So let me go through this. There is something that needs to be configured because of the S3 access and the AWS Glue with that I'm reading with the process. Let me kind of walk through that setup real quick. Because again, I'm working on a. This is a semi-new account that I'm using strictly for sandbox playing around. I know in my production account, all of that got configured up front, which is why it's not an issue. But and I think I configured all of this stuff like I don't know 3 years ago maybe. So it's one of those deals you don't do often. You do it once. If you do it right, you just do it once. So I'm starting to kind of remember now some of these settings that I had to do in the beginning. But let me walk through this real quick, and then I'll go back and I'll show my screen. Um, let's see. So, okay, so navigate to endpoints. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. What the hell? Why is it not finding this? Okay, there it goes. I think I found it. Is this right? Yes, I did. Okay. So let me see which regions am I using everything under. I believe it is the West. Yep, got the right one. Cool. All right, cool. So now that I got that set up, let's try it out. Let's try it out to see if this fixed that issue or not. So now I can go back. Let me share my screen. So let's go back to our crawler. Go back to this guy. Let's run the crawler again. Let's see if we have some success. Nope, it stopped again. Damn it. Let me go back. Logs. Probably the same thing. Gonna be my guess. VPC S3 endpoint validation failed for subnet. Blah blah blah. Reason could not find S3 endpoint, or oh, you know what? The NAT gateway. I didn't get that set up. Damn it! I forgot about that. I forgot that one needs to be set up as well. Okay, so let me do this now, that piece. Alright, so now I'm gonna go back to NAT gateways. We're gonna create one. All right. Let's see. Okay, so now that I have that, let's see, did it create it already? I think it did. Nope, it's still pending. So now I need to navigate to my route table. But before I do that, let me make sure this is finished. It's still being created. So I'm gonna let that finish. So a lot of what I'm doing here, it's very, very behind the scenes stuff. This is not something that if your company is already using AWS, this you wouldn't have to do. Most likely it's already set up to begin with. If your company is using AWS for the first time, then yeah, somebody will have to set it up. But most likely it's not going to be any developer or anybody of that sort. It's going to be somebody more of a I don't know what would be their role, like the engineering cloud team, right? It will be that team that will go through this process and configure. Somebody that knows about networking, IP, get IP addresses created and assigned, whitelisting, have secure, keep things secure. That will set up security groups, things of that nature. But again, normally programmers or developers or anybody in that field, they don't do none of that stuff. I just happen to know a little bit of it. Again, I'm not an expert at it, but I know enough to do stuff because I kind of have to. Whenever I set up my own AWS environment, I had to set all this up. Either that or I got to pay somebody, but I didn't pay nobody to do it. I set it up myself. So it's still, let me wait. There it goes. Now it's finished. Cool. So now that that's finished, now let me go to my route tables and kind of go through that process. Let's see. Okay, so now gotta add a route. So it'll be 000, and then it'll be gateway. Boom, there it goes. See it, and save changes. Oh damn it. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna remove this. Gateway, save changes. Alright, cool. So now that that's saved, let's see if this fixes that issue. Alright, so now let me go back and share my screen. Yeah, go back. Let me go back and share my screen. So now let's try one more time. Again, all these little issues that I'm kind of happen to be coming across. You most only reason why I have these issues, like I don't have these issues on my production AWS account because everything been configured already in advance. Got it configured like 3 years ago or so. Having issues on this one because nothing has been configured, right? Just been kind of creating it not that long ago. Damn, it's still having issues with it. When I should have went through and set all that up. It just again. Oh, this is a different error. Availability zone is not available. Please use a subnet and one of these available West 2A, 2B, where is it? 2A, 2B, or 2C. So let me close all of these out. Alright, so alright, let me go back. So let me look at my setups that I just did right now. So this says US West 2A. And I believe that's what the message said. It needs to be one of those. Do I still have that message? Nope. Let me go back to that error message real quick. Available zone is not valid. Available. Please use a subnet in one of these, which is US West 2A, B, and C. Alright, so it needs to be one of those. US West 2A, so that's fine. Let me now look at my, what else? and go back to my endpoints. My routing. Oh, this is the reason why. I think it is. Okay, so now alright, so let me try one more time again. Nope, still same error. Make sure, yep, it's the same error still. Okay, so let me check. Let me see what else. I think I have to do something with my routing. I did do a change to my routing. I'm wondering if that's what it is. So let's see. Let me go back to my endpoints. Oh, you know what? Let me change this. I wonder if this is it. I don't think this would be it, but either way, let me put it back. Let's see, while that's running, let me check something else. I feel it has something to do with my routing table. It has to be, but let's see. I guess let me put it back to the way how I had it. With my routing. Nope. I need to go to routing table. Routes. Edit routes. Alright, so I'll put it back. Let me run it one more time. I have a feeling though I'm gonna get the error that I was getting before. Oh no, I'm not getting that. I'm actually getting a different same error. So that's odd. Okay. Um. Let me do this real quick. It's not a. I think I should be able to at least do it and show most of the stuff that I want to show. But let me just check something real quick. And ultimately, what I'm thinking is, let me see though. Um, you know what? I'm gonna do public. I think that should be fine. Oh, duh, that's not the database. What the hell is it called? Is it dev? Yep, there it goes. Yes, so this works. Okay, so let me do this. And main reason why. Hey, what's up, man? What's up? I'm new. I'm a new Python programmer, and I don't want to feel. And I don't want to feel programming I choose to work on. I just want to learn code. I get a lot of people say to me that it's not good to start off with Python. Honestly, man, I think when you're learning how to code, you I don't think it matters what pro. This is again. This is my feedback. I don't think it matters what language you pick. Some people are very narrow. Like, well, um, you should have learned Python because if you're gonna do like let's say web, then most likely you're gonna be probably dealing with JavaScript. You're doing the front end, and there's some truth to that, right? Which kind of makes sense. Like if pick a language that you're gonna actually be utilizing. If you're gonna be doing like web. But the reason why it doesn't matter as much is when you first get started, at least that's how I got started. That's kind of what I recommend is you want to learn the fundamentals. When you're learning fundamentals, you can learn that with any language. You can learn about loops and, classes and functions, um, you know, what's in scope, what's out of scope, um, if else statements, all of that stuff applies to all programming language. Doesn't just apply to Python or JavaScript or C Sharp. That applies to all programming language across the board. So I think from that aspect of it, when you learn the fundamentals, I don't think it matters as much. Now, unless there's a reason that you want to start off with Python, because maybe there's a job that relates to Python, but I don't think it matters, man. Like if your goal is I want to do web development, then probably you can start out with JavaScript, right? You're gonna use JavaScript. You're doing a web by default because there's a lot of the front end is all JavaScript for the most half. So you can start off with that. Um, but I don't think there's a so-called bad language, right? I know I hear that all the time. Python's bad. Don't use Python. It's not a good first language, or whatever. Dude, I think that's a bunch of BS. Like it's at the end of the day, I don't even think it matters. Like pick a language, JavaScript, Python, C Sharp, whatever you want to pick. but learn the fundamentals, right? That's why I see it. Learn the fundamentals, and then from there you could expand to which language you want to use. Um, but if you have an idea what you want to do, like let's say if you want to do game development, well, most likely you're going to probably use C sharp for that. Um, and maybe it makes sense in that case to have C sharp be your first language. But again, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I think even if I were to do gaming, I think it's fine to start out with Python or JavaScript. And when you make the transition to C sharp, for example, it'll be a lot easier. Trust me. Like, once I learned one language, once I went to my second language, it was a lot easier. Went to my third language, a lot easier. It gets easier as you go from one language to the next. So, um, so let me do this. I'm going to log out of my AWS account that I'm using right now, which is my sandbox account, and I'm gonna log into my production account. I think it'll be fine. I don't think I'm gonna show anything that's sensitive, but we're gonna go through this real quick in production in that account, because that account I have everything set up, and we should be able to run through this job real quick. So that's going to be the plan to try to knock that out. Let me log out of the sandbox AWS account that I'm using, and let's go to that job again. Let's create that job real quick. So again, those of you who are joining, what we're doing right now is we're going to create a ETL process for an AWS. And it's gonna be consuming a JSON file, and we're gonna load it to a Redshift environment. So again, if you're interested, I'm gonna kind of walk you through the steps on how to do that. But the issue that I had was right now, and this is why I'm kind of switching accounts, is so I have two AWS accounts. I have what I consider my production account, which is what I use to do a lot of the work for a lot of my clients, and even for some of my projects that I work on. And then I have a sandbox account. I mean, it's technically it's a sandbox account because I use it that way. It's not because I have sandbox features or nothing like that. I use it in that manner, and that's what I use when I do my YouTube videos or my live streams. Right, I use that account so I can kind of show y'all some of the stuff without being concerned if I'm showing something that's sensitive, for example, or not. But there's some setup that needs to get done with endpoints and gateways and all that I have not set up on that account, which is causing some issues to complete the task. In my production account, all that's configured. So I'm kind of going to walk through this process real quick in my production account. I should be fine. I don't think I'm going to show anything sensitive, so it should be okay. So first thing, I'm going to S3 my S3 bucket, and I'm going to create a new bucket real quick. So this bucket that I'm going to create, I'm literally going to call it IamBlue, and it's going to be for what I'm doing. Well, I guess let's call it IamBlue 1 2 4 5 6 7 whatever. That's my region. Let's create that. Cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my bucket, which is this guy. Then I'm gonna inside this bucket, I'm gonna create a folder. I'm gonna call it customer. I'm kind of going through this quick just because we kind of went through a lot of this already and earlier, but because we had issues on like one of the semi-final steps, kind of going to walk through this process kind of quick. So we have a JSON file in here which is called contacts, and that's ultimately what's going inside my customer folder. All right, cool. So now that I have this in here, close out of it. Nice. So now I'm going to go to AWS Glue. Thanks for the answer. No problem, man. No problem. Again, dude, it really doesn't matter on the language. I think Python does not get enough credit as the way I think it should. Um, and the reason why I think that's the case is it's my opinion from talking to other people that normally say stuff about Python like, oh, Python is for prototyping. Like, you don't use it in production. You use it to prototype an app. But I always ask questions. I always wonder like, okay, have you ever developed in Python like an actual app? Oh, no, I never have. Why? Oh, well, it's not used for production. Well, how do you know it's not used for production? Have you even done it? Like I have actually built in the last couple of years production applications in Python, the backend in Python, using the Django framework, using the Flask framework. I created APIs in Flask and Python that are processing, thousands of events, per minute. And dude, it runs smooth, no issues, nothing. These jobs have been running for over a year and a half, even 2 years, even no issues, nothing. Again, I have tested it myself. I have seen the results of it, and most of the time, the bottleneck is not Python, man. The bottleneck happens to be database, like these other issues. It's not because Python is too slow or not. I mean, that's not the case at all. But I mean, again, I think a lot of people. I feel like um, I almost feel like what happens is, one person says something, everybody else just follows. Nobody tries it, and I'm not sure why that's the case though. Because a good example, like a real good example of where Python was used back in the day, was for Google. The Google search was built on Python back in the day initially, and again, it got to the point where they needed something faster. But dude, there was a point where Python was processing millions and millions of search requests per minute, and that's the language that was running that, man. Again, it did. Google got so big where they needed something faster, which makes total sense. Um, that's when you move on to that's kind of when you upgrade, right? That's the way I look at it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why Python gets that rap when it has been many times, man, many times. I feel like has been proven to handle large workloads, web apps, and a lot of transaction, all that stuff. But it still gets no, it's not for production. It's for prototyping or it's whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. So yep, I'm gonna put under this database. Perfect. All right, so now that I finished this, I'm gonna now run this crawler. This crawler is called I am Lou customer. Where is it? Oh, you know what? Probably just called customer. Uh, Dude, where's the other search at? Why is it not finding it? Oh, there it goes. No wonder I couldn't see it. Alright, so now let me run this crawler. Okay, so as this crawler runs, right, let it do its thing. Now I'm going to connect to... So I just connected. Let me go ahead and close out of it. I'm going to connect to this Redshift environment that I have. And again, this is a for testing that I use a database, and I have a schema. Have public. I don't have nothing in public. Staging. I'm gonna just put in public for now, and this is where I'm gonna recreate the table that we created earlier. So if I go back, let me click on new table. So we're gonna have, what is this? Oops, that's not it. So we have an ID column. I don't need that, so I'm gonna do first name. You know what? I should leave it in here. Leave ID in here. This would be you know what? No, I don't need it. I don't know why I'm gonna put it in here. So it'll be first name varchar. This would be varchar 255. Let me add. So I'm using a database tool. There's many out there. You don't have to use this. You know, use whatever you have, whatever you can find. This one is not free. You do have to pay for it. But dude, I love it. It's not ideal when you're doing database modeling, but it's very, very ideal when you're doing just querying the database. When you're doing that kind of work, dude, this tool is so fast, like auto completion, all of that. It's awesome. I love it. It's not expensive either. I want to say it's under $100. So it's not a crazy. It's I mean, you got to pay for it, but it's not a crazy price either. So what is this? Sunny Zip, phone tune, and email. So zip, phone, and email. All right, cool. Now that I have all of this, oh yeah, I forgot to put, this is going to be yes for, you know, there could be some no's in here. And let me save it. Oh, damn, I forgot to change the name. Let's see. Can I change the name in here? What was I going to call this? Customer. There it goes, customer. All right, cool. So now that I have that, so now let's go back. Our crawler should have been done, which means we should have a table in here for customer. Yep, and it's this guy here. So same thing, kind of what we saw earlier. If I click on the array, boom, that's all there. Cool. So now I'm going to go back to crawler again. And this time I'm going to create one for IAMLU. Same thing. I'm going to call this, it's going to be customer Redshift. This would be JDBC. Same thing what we had earlier, right? Database, schema, table. This is a dev database. So it'll be dev. The schema is called public. And then, of course, my table is called customer. Oops. It's going to go to this. My bad. Where's the connection? There it goes. This is the connection right here. Why is this error message still there? There it goes. So again, I already created a row with all the security set up. This is stuff that you kind of do in advance. Once you create it once, you don't have to recreate it. Just select it from your drop down. Run on demand. This is going to go to the IAMLU database. Yeah, I could go in there. Let me hit finish. Let's see, where's my customer? Nope, there should be another one. Why is it not showing it, man? There it goes. I don't know why it cuts it off. It doesn't show it. So now let me go ahead and run this crawler. And let's see if this runs successfully. So this is still running. Okay, so hopefully this it's still going. So there's a few ways to do it. Like right now, what I did, I'm pretty much going to create a data catalog for the data warehouse. So that is one option to do it, right? Which, in order to do that, you could tell in my database, I created a table first. So this is where like your database modeler would have to come and get this created first. Now there is another way to do it. The other option will be not to create this table and then ultimately create the job where it'll kind of auto create it for you. But I think the new way, using the new job like the Glue Studio, I don't think it allows you to do that. You could do it the old way. I don't think the new way allows you to do that, which is kind of strange. So I need to look into why that's the case. Like why doesn't it not allow you to do that? It does the legacy way. It's kind of hard to tell, but the job legacy way, it does allow you to do it that way. But the job that where it says jobs new, which is like the new way of creating jobs, it doesn't seem to allow you to do it that way. Damn, it's still going. Why is it still going? Let's see if I could see. Process list. No, I don't see nothing. No connection or nothing. Dude, this is taking a long time. Normally it does not ever take this long, which is very odd. It's still going. It's kind of strange. I mean, you could tell some of these other ones, it shows 50 seconds, 40, well, maybe a minute. This one shows 2 minutes. 3 minutes, but this one still shows 0, which again, it's kind of odd. Okay, while this is running, I'll show you real quick the other way to do it without having to create the table, right? So this is the way that I'm about to show you now. Is if you want to load it to a database, so this is the legacy way, but I find it beneficial doing it this way as well, without having to create a table, like your table schema, and do the mapping. It'll kind of do it automatically for you. So let's kind of walk through that process. So if I go to job legacy, let me create new. Oops. And then I'm going to call this, let's call it IMLU customer S3 to Redshift. This is my role that I created in advance to be able to run these kind of jobs. So it kind of tells you could create one here if needed to be, but I already got it created. It's going to be Python 3, which is the version that he's using. If I go to security configuration, scroll down, see what's the worker type. This is for memory intense jobs. Well, this is not a memory intense job. I want to use standard. This matters because if you know, by you clicking something like memory intense jobs or ML transformations, you're gonna be paying more per job. So you got to keep that in mind. Number one. And on number two, see where it says number of workers. So the maximum number is 299. I don't know how much that will cost. My guess is probably going to be pretty expensive. But by default, it had it at 10. I can tell you right now, but when you have it on 10 workers, and you run like a basic job that takes a minute and 30 seconds to run, you're going to be paying probably a good $2 per job every time it runs. In order to save money, especially if you're not dealing with nothing intense or nothing that massive, put it at the minimum level of workers, which is 2. And that would save you a lot of money as well. But again, adjust it as you need, right? If you need a lot of resources, then put it, up it up. So let me go to next. This is where I got to select my data source. So remember how we created a crawler to generate our data catalog, which is our table? Well, that's going to be in here. And I called it, what did I call it? Customer. Oops. There it goes right here. This is it. So I'm going to select on that schema, hit next. Then to change schema, I'm going to leave it as is, change schema. See where you have the option where it says use table and data catalog or create table in your data target. I want to create a table in my data target. So leave it at JDBC. I'm going to select my connection, which is my Redshift connection. And then under database, I'm going to put in my database name, which in this case is dev. I'm going to hit next. So we're doing a array. Ooh, this is not right. So, man, okay, let me close out of this. I just thought about it. This does have to get changed. Let me find that. Which is going to be this guy here. Let me hit edit. Well, you know what? My bad. Let me go to table. I want to see the table that got created, right? So this is it. Object count. Read record 1 size. Let me hit edit real quick. Let me see what do we have here. Oh, it counted everything at one object. Well, I guess it is one object, but record count 1. It has to do with where it's starting. Let's see. It's counted as one big record. Damn, I just realized that right now. I don't know why I didn't realize it earlier. I just noticed it right now. Let me see something real quick. Let's see, where would this be? Oh, that's right. I see. I know where that. You know what? I messed up on that file. Remember how we created that sample JSON file? And that's why. So I'm gonna show you. You know what? This should be fine. There's nothing wrong with what I'm about to show you. This is the format that it actually should generate it in the JSON file. As you could tell, it's all one object, one object, one object. The issue is I just realized that the JSON file that we kind of created ourselves, it's in the form of a list, which is not valid. So let me see if I could go back to the website where we got this from. That's here. We have array. Let's see. It's not wrong, but the thing about it is that that's not how I'm aware of. That's not how it's going to be exported out, and that's kind of where what we're trying to mimic, right? Where this file here, not this one, but the one I was just showing right now, this file, this is how it actually gets exported out through the AWS process, and this is how it saves it to an S3 bucket. And you could tell, I just realized it's not in the form of a list. It's just one object on its own. So this is one object, two objects, three, so on and so on. Where over here did not do that. It put it in the form of a list, and that was the issue. Should never have done that. I don't know why. I literally just realized that. So let me see if there's an easy way to do this, which is probably going to be something like, let me find all of these, which is 49, and I'm going to replace it with this, replace all. Now this puts in the format that I think that we need it in, that it should not that we need it in, the format that it would actually be in, right? Put it that way. So let me save that. Let me go back to my bucket, customers, and let me go ahead and upload it. So now that I uploaded that, I'm gonna go back to my crawler. Oh, did this finish? Oh, I just realized it did finish, right? Or no? There it goes. It took like 4 minutes, but it finished. Cool. So I'm going to click on this crawler and I'm going to rerun it. Run crawler. So let's let that finish. And then we'll see, we'll refresh this and we'll be able to see how this looks. Yeah, again, it just is one of those, that was my mistake. We try to generate the JSON file, but in reality, the format that I created in, or that I put it in, which is, I kind of went off of this. It's this, not that this is wrong, but I get what they did. They pretty much, what they did here was they converted this CSV into this format. The thing about it is the way Amazon actually, when it generates the file, it doesn't put this in an array. It's literally just generates objects, one object, another object, another object, which is where it's able to identify the headers properly. Where right now, when we run the crawler, it couldn't identify the headers. All it identified that it was an array, and then inside that array had headers. But I don't know why I did not catch that sooner. I should have caught it sooner. So let's see if the crawler is finished. Why are they cutting it off, man? I don't get this crap. Okay, so it's stopping, so it seems to be about done. It should be done anyway. So now let me go to my tables, which is over here. I'm in my tables. Let me hit refresh. Has it finished? Damn it. Nope, it's still not done yet. It's still stopping. Again, the purpose of these crawlers is ultimately you want to build your data catalog from these data sets, right? Have metadata of your table to know these are the columns, this data types, all of that. That's pretty much the purpose of running the crawler process. Damn, it's still going. Why is it taking so damn long? I think we did update. Says table updated 1, so it's probably done already. Let's go take a look at it. There we go. See how now we have a schema in here? I guess let me make it bigger. But see how now it's not an array, it's an actual, we have names and then we have the data types. That's how it should be. So this is good. So now I could close out of this. Now let's go back to the legacy job. So I'm gonna do this as the legacy way, and then we could walk through the other way as well. So I'm gonna call the IAMLU customer S3 to Redshift. Again, select my row that I already set up in advance. Again, always remember, man, configure your resources. I always start off with the bare minimum, and then I go up as I need it, right? Even if the bare minimum takes 30 minutes, if it happens to be something that you need to run in a matter of 2-3 minutes or something of that sort, then you up the resources and you just pay that amount. So just kind of keep that in mind. So now I need to find that the table, right? The data catalog that we ran right now the crawler for, which is the customer, which is, where is it at? There we go, right here, customer. And this is the database that I put it under. See, JSON. So now I'm going to hit next. Change schemas. So this is a piece where if you create a crawler, which we kind of did, we ran one. I'm not going to do it that way though. I'm going to do create table from data target, which means I don't have to create my actual table like the way I did here. It will create it for me automatically based on the schema of the JSON file. So I just want to show you that this is an option. You know, so if I go to connection, I'm going to select my connection that I already haven't established, which is my Redshift connection here. Then of course I'm going to put my database name, dev. See how now we have our columns from my JSON file. Then we have our columns that we're going to end up creating in our data data warehouse. Now if you want to remove stuff, this is where you remove it. Maybe you don't want 2 phone numbers, you just want 1. You can remove it here. If not, keep them all, right? You know, but you can this is where you make your changes. And I'm going to hit save job and edit script. So now ultimately it generates this script here. Python's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of small. I guess let me make this bigger maybe. That didn't help much. But either way, this is your Python script that it generates. A lot of it, you don't really have to change nothing in here. The pieces that you may need to change, Can't really make it bigger. I'm not sure why. But if you go to the very bottom where it says glue context right dynamic frame, and if we go to connection options, yeah, I just noticed my face is covering it. You'll see what it says called damn it. You'll see where it says DB table, customer, and then it says DB database, which is dev. So right here we have the table. I don't know if you realize it doesn't tell any schema, right? So the schema by default is going to go to public, which is fine because I wanted to go to the public schema. But let's say you don't want to go to public schema. You wanted to go to the stage schema, right? I'm going to pick stage. I guess let's put in stage in this case. What I would do here, I would end up doing stg dot in front of the table. That's how you kind of specify which schema you wanted to go into in your data warehouse. And that's kind of what I did here. I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to run job. Run. How was it able to pick the schema correctly now with the column headers? So the reason why it actually picked it up properly is if we look at the file. Damn, did I close out of it? I did close out of it. Let me open it back up. It's looking at this as think of this as a row. That's pretty much what it is. Like, this is one object, so it's considered a row. And because this is considered a row, this is row 1, row 2, it's looking at it, it's looking at every row, and it's able to determine, well, these are the header names. Ideally, they should always be consistent, right? So you could have issues if one of these is missing the zip code, but the other one is not. You could have some problem there, but I believe what it does, it'll still generate the schema, and I believe in those cases, it will just insert like a null value in the database. I believe so in the ways, but for the most half, I haven't had that scenario. But the crawler is actually reading one row at a time, and because it's reading one row at a time, it's able to identify what the headers are, right? This is the key, and this is the value. Key being the column name, right? The header, and of course the value. That's how they're able to do it, and we'll see that as well. Right now that I ran the job, let me go back to the job. This job is still running, I believe. Did I run it? At least I thought I ran it. Where is the job at? Okay, let me try to find the job. There it goes. Okay, boom, it's done. So this actually succeeded, successfully. And so if I go back to my database, see how I don't have one table here. I'm gonna hit refresh. Boom, I have another table. Because it created a table for me automatically. I didn't even have to build it manually and do none of that like the way I did earlier. But the reason why I did it this way, because I want to show you this is an option. So when I click on it, look it up, we have all of our data. And it's in the right format, right? This is a database, row-based format, which is what you want it to be. First name, last name, then of course you could query by whatever you want. Now, the only issue that I did notice that I see right now is see the zip code. See how these are string, like this shows, but these are no. I have a feeling, there it goes. This is actually a number. It doesn't have double quotes. And then of course I'm pretty sure we're gonna find some. There you go, double quotes, string. This is because the way the data came out. And again, this has to do more because I think the tool that we end up using this tool. Normally when AWS does it, it makes everything string, so that's not an issue. But again, we use a separate tool. We don't know how their logic behind it, but obviously their logic is probably looking at it on an individual object level. So we just need one crawler to scan S3. So the crawler would be based on data source. Let's say you have one S3 bucket, and maybe you have two folders. You have customer, like the way I do, and maybe you have another one that's called sales, right? Which is strictly sales data. Though that would be in that scenario, you would have two crawlers, one for customer and one for sales. Now you could have many files in there in the bucket. So if I kind of come back to my bucket, right, I only have one file in here, but let's assume that we had 50 files in here. That's fine. But in this case, they need to be in the same structure. Most likely that's not a problem, because if you're exporting data, let's say um, from Salesforce, the process is going to generate many files, because it's able to process it faster. Instead of creating one big file, it's faster to create a lot of smaller files, and the ETL process is able to scan through it faster and process those files faster. Because when you have multiple files, in theory, you could have different threads, multi-processing at the same time as well. So that's why you could have some performance. But either way, as long as the scheme of the format's the same, then yeah, you could have many files in here, and then you could just run one crawler, and it'll crawl all of the files for that. So no crawler for Redshift. Exactly. But the way I did it right now, and this is the way I prefer to do it. But again, it's the legacy way of doing it. I'd rather do it the legacy way. That's just me, because I've been doing it that way for a while. But I don't know if you noticed when we went through, where is it? Is it here? Yeah, there it goes. When we went through and created the job, right, this S3 to Redshift job, we didn't really have. There was some UI configuration you have to set up, like the field and the settings, but it wasn't like the other one, the new one, which is more. It does have a cleaner UI, like a design to when it comes to developing the process. But it doesn't give you the option to do what I did here, which is create, not even have a data catalog, right? A schema for Redshift. I could just automatically create my table based on my JSON file schema. It'll create it automatically, and then that's kind of what we saw here, right? It created it to the schema, and now we have all of our data in here in our Redshift environment. So let's say each time I put JSON files in S3, I want the glue crawler and glue job to trigger immediately. So there's no need to have the crawler run unless there's a reason to have it run. So if let me put it this way. Let's say if you're pulling data from Salesforce, because that's it seems like that's maybe where your data is going to come from. Your data, your structure, the data that's coming from Salesforce, it's going to be very what I call slow moving objects. The data will change, but the structure most likely will not change. Now it can potentially change maybe in the future when there's new updates, but most likely the structure doesn't change often. Normally in systems like that, those are considered slow moving. Like they may add a new column here, every once in a while. They may change a column here and there, but it's slow moving. Like it's literally maybe once every other year or something like that, right? It doesn't happen often. I mean, most of the time, right? Unless there's a lot of customizations going on, but normally, traditionally, does not happen often. In those cases, you really wouldn't need to have your crawler run every time. You will have your crawler run once to be able to get the initial schema of your file. But once you run it once and you get the initial schema, that's it. The only thing you have to do is have the job drop files in there, and then of course have your glue job run after that. And your glue job, if we go back to the glue job, like this guy here, I'm gonna go to actions and see. Let's see how we have what says choose job trigger. So let me go ahead and click on choose job trigger. You know what? We'll have to create a trigger first. But ultimately, what you could do is there's a trigger section down over here on the left side. You could go to triggers. I'll open that in a new tab. So you could create a trigger, and let's take a look at the different events that we have. You could have one that's scheduled. Again, kind of going back down to, you could have a run every hour. You could have a run daily. Like, so kind of give you some examples, the way traditionally, the way I see it happening. And again, I base it more just through me working with like some big and small companies. The way, a lot of the time, the way it's done, a lot of the times, a lot of this stuff is considered, it's timely. I'm going to tell you why it's timely. When you're pulling data from another system, let's say like a Salesforce, like a CRM system, you want to pull data when there's less activity. For most of the, so by that being said, most of the time these jobs will run at night, and it makes sense though to run at night, because you don't have a lot of activity. You don't have people entering data where in the daytime they are. So like Salesforce, when you use a tablet on Salesforce, the app, the CRM app on the tablet, if the user is offline, they could still enter in data. What happens is when they eventually connect, let's say when they get home and they connect to their Wi-Fi, then their iPad or tablet gets synced to the system, and all of the entries that they did throughout the day as they were out in the field or whatever they were doing, all of that gets sucked up and goes, to the Salesforce database. Which kind of goes back down to, you always have activity happening. You have activity happening early in the afternoon, then even probably at 9, 10 at night. All the projects that I have worked on and been around, processes are always kind of scheduled to run like at midnight or 2 a.m. Someone was in that range. And again, they do that because most likely most people are not going to be working. They're not going to be entering data at that time. They're going to be asleep. Less activity. So because it's not based on triggers, like, oh, somebody entering a new record, now let's trigger a job or whatever, because, that's just not ideal. It's kind of more based on, hey, let's run it when we feel that there's very little activity going on. And maybe that's 2 in the morning. So that's 2 in the morning. You'll be like, all right, we're going to run this job at 2 in the morning to pull all of the data out of Salesforce and dump it into an S3 bucket. And if you do it that way, you could also schedule it from a trigger to say, okay, we're going to have this job, which is going to take those files that got dumped to S3 bucket and process it as well. And we're going to have that run, let's say, at 3 a.m. The first job runs at 2 a.m., dumps it to S3 bucket, and then the next job is going to run at 3 a.m. But again, you don't make that decision until you kind of start getting some timestamps as well. How long is it going to take to dump CRM data? One of the projects that I worked on in the past, they were dumping so much CRM data that it was taking 8 hours to transfer that data over from the CRM system to another database. Now, I think the reason why it took so long was more so they were actually loading it to a database as well. So as they pulled data, they were loading it as well to the database, and the database was very slow. So that's why it took a long time. But I think in this case, because it's going to go to an S3 bucket, that should be way faster. So I don't think you're going to have that kind of issue. I mean, it should most likely probably be done like in an hour. Again, depending on your data. But let's just say it takes 30 minutes to run that process. You could have this run just like you could create a trigger that says we're going to run this daily, and we're going to run it at 3 a.m., right? Whatever that time ends up being. 3 a.m. is, which is 7 UTC time, I guess, or not 7, what is it, 8? Well, I'm Central. Well, yeah, again, assuming you're running at 2 a.m., 2 a.m. Central time, then it'll be, 3 a.m. Central time, then it'll be 8 UTC time. Then, of course, it'll be 0 minutes or whatever. But you could specify that way that this would run after that, process the file, then ultimately load it to the to Redshift environment. And then that's where you could have other processes as well, where you could have a procedure that would move that data from, let's say, staging over to other tables. It just, again, it all depends on what you're doing, right? If you're literally taking a complete snapshot of all the data in Salesforce and you're bringing it over, and every time you run the job to extract data, it's bringing out all of the data, right? Not new records or not partial, but bringing out all the data. Then your process will be straightforward. It'll be a drop and replace. You'll be dropping all of your data from your data warehouse, and you'll be reloading it every night with fresh data. It'll be simple that you really won't have to do nothing else to it. So it just all depends on what you're doing. But normally, to my experiences, that's kind of this is like the more traditional way, I guess, that most people do. And again, the reason why they do this is because it is the simple way in my mind. Just set a job, run it, set a timer on when you want the other job to run it. You're good to go, right? I mean, ultimately, if you want to be more advanced, that's where you could have kind of more. When data is loaded, we want to trigger this event, this job to run, things of that nature. But that does require additional setup and development and through AWS to get it to be more to that level. It's doable, but there's more effort, right? So it just all depends on, is it worth the effort? Is the effort even needed? Sometimes it may not even be needed, especially if you're running processes late at night, like that for reporting. The reality is, you want to just have that data ready in the morning. So when people come in at 6 in the morning or 7 or whenever, whatever time they start working, data there, they're good to start pulling data for their reports and everybody's happy type deal. But either way though, I mean, that the way that I showed you right now is the legacy way. And then of course you have the, there is the, where is it at? The new way, which is the jobs new, right? And the jobs new, that's kind of where I have to create the table and I had to create the schema and kind of go through all of that process. So if I were to do that real quick, again, I'm going to select my data catalog here, which is a lot. Let's see if it finds it or maybe not. Oh, my bad. This is a database. So this would be under this. And then it'll be customer. Then if I come over here, this would be under this. And then this would be under... what did I put this under? Maybe this one's not right then. Dev, public, customer... yeah, I need to look at my tables now. Maybe do I have another? Either way, so the JSON conversion to column format happens via Glue automatically. Exactly. Glue, because Glue is using like I think it's using NumPy. I don't know what was the we could look at the Python code real quick, which is this guy here, script. Well, it's using the AWS Glue package, but I want to, if I recall, there it goes. So using Spark, all of that is using a lot of the NumPy. I believe it's using NumPy, and so these packages, they already been built to read JSON data like very easily, right? So for these packages, there's nothing complex about reading JSON data. If anything, it's probably it's as easy as anything else. But just short answer, yes. It's already, Glue is doing all of that for you already. It knows how to read it properly. As you could tell, when I look in the database, it loaded everything, right? We have our columns, address, city, everything's loading here properly. So, yeah, I mean, it knows how to do everything properly. So, and that's what I'm saying. Once your files get dumped in your S3 bucket, then that's where you just create your job and, map it over. But again, the way I did it, I like doing it this way just because Some of my processes that I build and that I have staging tables that I put everything in. Then ultimately I have a procedure that takes these data from the staging table that moves it over to like a data warehouse schema and so on. So, but yeah, I like using the job legacy way. It gives you a little bit more flexibility on controlling the schema and all of that kind of stuff as well. Again, productive Friday. Well, man, we had a few hiccups, and again, I need to get my AWS sandbox environment set up properly. Again, I created it for the purpose of making YouTube videos and all of that, but there's stuff that for sure is not set up yet, and then I need to go through and set it up so we don't have the hiccups as we kind of walk through the processes as well. But either way, hopefully this helped out, right? Kind of answer some of your questions or some of the, things that you part of weren't certain. At least now you got a little bit more clarity of how things operate and how things work and so on. If the Salesforce connection is possible, let's explore. I'll look into that. Again, I have the account. I created the account. I just need to figure out if it's something related with the my version, right? Because I think what somebody mentioned in the comments is on the trial version, you could probably contact Salesforce and ask them like, hey, since I'm trying it out, I need to try API functionality. Can you give me enterprise access? Like, make sure I have that access so I could test it out. So I'll probably do that. I may email them, tell them, hey, if this is not enterprise license, can you make it enterprise license? Because I'm trying to test out API connectivity. And hopefully, if that's the case, it'll be as simple as them flipping a switch, and then maybe we could test it out next Friday. So that's the plan, anyways. So, but I'll keep you posted on that, and hopefully we could walk through that process on getting some Salesforce data pushed over. All right, good man. So it's already 11:45. Went by pretty quick. Again, I got started late anyways, so it's all good. Again, man, appreciate it. Thanks for joining the live stream. And again, I'll be on Tuesday, but Tuesdays are early though. Probably 11 to about 12:30, maybe 1, but around there. But nevertheless, on Fridays for sure. I know we got a little bit more time. On top of that, I'll be able to test out some things throughout the week. So hopefully, I think we could test out the whole Salesforce connectivity next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. I'm trying to think. Yep, next Friday. I was thinking because I think I had plans to do something that weekend, but it's on a Saturday and not Friday. So yep, I'll be on Friday. Again, man, appreciate it. Thanks for joining the live stream, and I'll talk to you next Friday.